Andrea is our surprise guest today. She is the head coach for the U.S. Olympic team for synchronized swimming. She is a multiple Olympian in synchronized swimming, won a lot of medals at the Olympic Games. She has been coaching for a few years and is really passionate about the wellness of her athlete and mental skills, and so wanted to get her perspective and hear what coaches can do and to implement, athlete wellness and the development of the whole athlete within day-to-day practice. So we're actually going to go through a Q&A with Andrea because she had to move her team from the Bay Area to Las Vegas in the last 2 days to escape the fires. So we decided it would be a little easier to do a Q&A. So we're going to kick it in. Andrea, is there anything you want to add on your introduction about yourself?
Just that, first of all, can you hear me well?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this awesome webinar, seminar, summit. And I'm very, very happy to see so many persons going in the same direction, and that you can give us the tools to learn from a lot of different fields. So thank you for that. Thank you for Ford and Lisa for the awesome presentations. And I'm here to answer some questions and share a little bit of my experience from another perspective, but in the same line, which I think it goes aligned perfectly with the previous presentations.
Perfect. Great. Well, let's get started. And a pretty simple question to start. I wanted to ask you simply, what do you think your role is as a coach, especially for an elite team?
So as Lisa said before, putting the example of that coach, when I was deciding to be a coach, which was not my idea, after being an athlete in the high performance level and Olympic level, I had an experience as an athlete with very successful results, but not in an athlete-centered system, right? So I knew that without an athlete-centered system, you can achieve super big results, like great results, but I wanted to prove myself that you can do it as well with another system, because I always dreamed about it. And I wanted to be that coach that I know everybody wants to have, right? So my goal as a coach, when I assumed that role, I actually did the questions that Lisa was talking about, right? Like, why do I coach? No, what I want to feel when I finish my career, how I want to feel about it, right? So one of my first goals was, okay, why do I coach, right? And I just thought I want to change my athletes' life for positive. I want them to have the best experience of their life, but most importantly, I want them to help them to grow. I want them to feel that they are educating themselves, and that this is not about having results, is them about knowing that in this moment of their lives, they are growing and they are having an education that makes them prepared for anything in life, no? But using a tool, which is the sport. But for me, the sport is just a way to achieve the goal of growth, no? On having the maximum confidence, on knowing yourself, on reach your full potential in all ways, no? But instead of using another field, you use the sport, not like more like a tool than a goal itself.
Absolutely.
Then
as a vehicle,
go ahead.
basically, you're saying you want to use sport as a vehicle.
Exactly. Better worded. I'm from Barcelona, and sorry for my sometimes lack of words. I've been in the US from only 1.5 years ago, and I think it's great because in comparison from other countries, the US is really studying scientifically all this athlete-centered system, which in other countries is not happening. So I'm very grateful that the US is giving me also the tools to learn from it.
Do you have specific example or practical tools or ways that you implement at practice what it means to develop the whole athlete and pay attention to the individual outside of just the sport?
Yes, for me, it's very important that my role is to make all the learning on the mental process that we're doing with mental coaches and also on personal experiences when we talk as a team and we do meetings where the only goal is to have a mental growth. Um, and to give them the tools to know, okay, we all know that we want more confidence, we all know that we want to perform better under pressure, we all know that we need to be authentic and be united, but how we do it? No, we know the theory now, we give you the tools, but now we have to put it into practice, because I really think the real growth is when you know how to put the learnings into actions, right? Then it's when it's really getting in and being part of your DNA, right? So when we work with our mental coach, I always work with her on, okay, this week we're working the self-talk, for example, and it's good that Ford was talking about the 80,000 thoughts every day, no? And we're working a lot, for example, this week on the self-talk, right? Okay, all the athletes know that now we have a lot of words inside. They can be pushing you down, pushing you up. So, okay, how we work, how we put this into practice, no? And then I give always a space every day on working on this. I will not correct you if in our sport, for example, we need to synchronize the legs and go higher or go faster. I will only focus on your self-talk, but I will give you some difficult moments for you to do it anyways. No, for example, my job in this week, for example, is I will create very difficult situations where you will struggle, and the only goal of these situations is not that you do the time I'm telling you, is that you talk to yourself how you want to be, no? And then this is the way that we are working on it, and it's having much better results than just talk about it, no? Because especially in this age, no, in the teenagers, I think they are used to listen in the school and everything, but they don't process it, they don't take it, they don't form it part of their DNA. And then I think my really job is like real job of me is like I will make it be part of you, no? So for me this is where the growth goes. For example, also working on leadership, I give you a mission, this is the goal, this is what we have to achieve. It's usually a very difficult mission that seems almost impossible, but it's a mission. I call it team missions because it's more funny than this is just a goal. So I made it in a way that only if you're united as a team and you recognize the strengths of each one, you will accomplish the mission, no? And I can give you more precise examples if you want. For example, the other day I made them do one thing that is very hard for us. It's 1 minute in vertical, upside down without breathing, but with a high effort. So the heartbeat, it's very, very high. And it's almost, some of them thought that it was not possible to do, but I don't give them any tools to do it. They have to figure it out as a team by themselves. And I know some of them will not do it. Some of them it will be easy. So I tell them, you have to make them do it. It's your job to make her do it. So talk as a team, solve it as a team, help them as a team, because if they don't do it, you are not accomplishing the goal, no? So in these physical exercises, but with the goal of achieving mental growth. This is what I'm centering this year, and the results are much higher, and on performance and team unity and authenticity and knowing each person, on making them feel that they are being respected as unique personalities, so they know they are learning how to recognize their strengths to the service, for the service to the team, which is one of my 4 pillars in my philosophy. It's this one, no? Like team unity, it's very important, because especially in this world, I know when they will finish their sport careers, they go into a world that teamwork is important, no? So I always try to motivate them thinking that what they learn here, it's useful for their next life.
Great. And actually, I was going to ask you if you felt that athlete wellness, athlete development, and mental skills were intertwined, but you've already answered that. Can you tell us? You mentioned that team unity is one of your pillars as your coaching philosophy. Can you tell us what the other pillars are?
Yes, I wanted. It was difficult to decide for me. We did an exercise of recognizing our 4 pillars, 4 or 5. It was difficult to choose, but one thing that I really want for them is that to feel fulfilled. And I really think the more you recognize your uniqueness and you respect your own personality, the more you arrive to your full potential. And that's why you're born, no? You're born with uniqueness. If you avoid this uniqueness, you will never feel fulfilled. So it's a life that is not lived full, no? Fully. So our authenticity for me is the first one. It has to bring inside the honesty inside the team. So it's difficult because sometimes we have fears of rejection. We have fears of knowing ourselves, no? Like, is it too different, or is it accepted? And I teach them like almost every single day to recognize what you will do in this moment. Imagine you're alone in the world, what you will decide in this moment. Like, you don't have any judge now, like nobody is watching what you're doing, what you will do, no? And I made them reflect on, okay, if nobody's judging me, what I will do myself. And I would do this. Okay, let's do it. Let's try all together, and let's appreciate this uniqueness, no, and acceptation from the others. So I praise a lot the effort on self-knowledge and on acceptation from the others, praising the uniqueness, no. So this is authenticity for me is one of the most important pillars on our team philosophy. This brings unity because when you feel respected from others, the bonds are much stronger. And unity, we all know that brings the power, no, on a team. And then all of this without drive will never work, right? So for me, I'm a doer. I'm a person who really has this fire inside on big determination, no? So the drive for me, it's important. So I always make them, problem solving, all this kind of. Now we have the fires in California. Are we staying like this, or are we finding solutions? Let's do each one of you a solution. What you would do, no? Like, imagine you are the captain of the boat. What you will do? And then we see, like, I make them participate in the leadership, to make them accountable, to recognize that they are important in the team and that they are participating, so they feel much more motivated as well. And of course, we have much more options to decide and to find the best option, no? So now we decided, okay, let's rent a van and we go all the team. We're training in a backyard pool of one of our swimmers, the national team in a backyard pool, no? So we are being very creative, and nothing will stop us, no? This drive of, no, we do it anyways. And even embracing the challenge, no? Like, make it exciting instead of, well, again, what else can happen? No, like a tsunami now or an earthquake. Yeah, that's great. Like, it's an opportunity, and it's actually exciting. Like, what next? What next? Give me more. No, this sensation of making it exciting. And this brings to the last pillar for me. It's joy. It's very important because I want them to want to come to the pool every day. No, and in synchronized swimming, it's difficult because we train 8 to 10 hours a day. So it's easy to get unmotivated, to get tired, fear and fatigue are the killers of motivation, right? So I really have to put a lot of effort on make them have fun practices, no? So it's not the same to do an exercise just repetition, or do the same competing against each other, make a game, be creative on how to achieve a thing, the missions that I'm doing. I think this brings joy to the practice, and it's fundamental for the longevity of the team. Otherwise, especially now, that the new generations, they have so many sports to choose. Why I would choose synchronized swimming if I have to just hold my breath and repeat, no? It has to be fun, it has to be engaging, and I want you to come to the pool, like, I cannot wait to arrive, which is very difficult, but here I think when the good coach comes, especially in our sport.
Wow, that was fabulous, because you gave a lot of example that reflect on what Lydia was saying in her presentation. So I think
Exactly.
that was fantastic, and I can see the link. You talked about uniqueness, and I'd like to know if you're also able to recognize the athlete's uniqueness, perhaps outside of their athletic performance, and especially in a sport where you train so many hours. How are you able to see them or see their development outside of just being an athlete and who they are as a person?
I think first of all, I insist, one thing of that my coach had positively was like, it was, even if it was difficult, to compulsory for us to study, you know, and to keep your mind curious and wanting to learn in other fields gives you much more tools for anything, no? And I really try to make my athletes know that the world is so big and has so rich in different fields. So I sometimes arrive to the pool and explain them, do you know that today they discovered a planet, like imagine the NASA, how they are working, no? And go into other fields and make it interesting, because we can learn so much from any field, no? Like even the ones that you think that has nothing to do with your sport, it's like, you know, like the holistic approach, it makes you this sensation of growth. And for an athlete, to know that here you're in an environment that you're growing in all the fields, it's of course better for the team unity, because it lasts longer, no? Like if you want to stay here, because I feel I'm learning in a lot of different fields, I always encourage it. And sometimes I make them see documentaries or exercises from completely different fields. So I encourage it. And I also try to find the strength of each athlete outside of sport. Even if it looks silly sometimes. For example, there's one athlete, what her passion is fashion. And okay, it's her passion, right? And it's a strength. So why we don't put this quality to the service of the team? So you are taking care of our image, which is also important now with social media and everything, no? So she feels that she has something unique outside of the sport that can bring to the team something positive. Or another one, it's like the scientific one, no? And okay, Lindy is her name. We are falling in this lift. Put into practice your physical knowledge. Why? Where is the strength? Where is the support? Where is the, like, let's do an exercise of physics right now and solve the problem. And then she puts other knowledge into practice, no? And everything, any field of the world can be useful. So they feel their uniqueness outside of sports into practice in the team. And I think this is great, and we are learning, all of us, including me, a lot from them, no?
Yeah, and I was going to follow up with a question on performance, because it's fabulous to hear, and it's contagious to hear your enthusiasm and your drive and the passion that you have, and really refreshing to hear the different pillar that you have to your coaching style. I'm curious on the impact on performance, and if you've seen a positive impact so far in this short amount of time you've been working with this group.
Yes, of course. At the beginning, I was, it's my first experience as a coach. So I'm actually an inexperienced coach, but I have my goals very clear. But at the beginning, it was not like this. I was more like only on repetition. Let's do it well. We don't have time. Let's do the job, no? And sometimes I was missing this drive. And so the motivation was killed at the beginning because it was too much. And sometimes I have a lot of grit, but you have to balance how is every athlete, no? Not how you are only. You have to know what they can, where is their process, no? Because if you unbalance the evolution, it's not working. So it was the most difficult thing for me, was to know each athlete on their way, that they don't have my same thing, no? Like what Ligia was talking at the end. And one of the things I learned this year, which brought us to much better results, it's not the goal, but the results have the proof to yourself that you're going in the right direction, no? It's a tool again, no? And then now I'm losing the time for other coaches, but for me it's much faster evolution because I'm losing. Yeah, I'm not losing. Sorry, I'm investing. For me, for others would be lose the time on building this philosophy, you know, and this character. And I'm super trusting this process, even if the results will not come fast. I don't mind, because this is the way I want to coach, no? And this is what I trust it will bring the long-term evolution. Or for example, mindfulness, no? What Ford was teaching. The other day we did, okay, every week I have a difficult challenge, and I made them sit for 1 hour without moving anything, just focusing on the breath, which I know it's very difficult, not even moving anything, a single bone. And here we're working on equanimity on the brain, not the self-talk on, okay, it's very difficult, but here you have to maintain yourself in balance. This is the only goal. It's not deal with the pain of not moving, which is painful. It's to maintain your brain in balance, no? And yes, we spent one whole hour on this, but the energy that was after this hour was the highest I ever saw in the team, no? Like I never saw it after 1 hour sitting. The energy, they were like on fire, training, the best practice ever. And I thought to myself, sometimes you have to waste, lose, invest this time on do different things and experience with your own tools what can happen. Sometimes it's not useful, sometimes it's more useful than you thought. Like the process.
Absolutely. Trust the process and focus on your philosophy and keep it going. Andrea, thank you. I'm sure we'll have plenty of questions for you in the Q&A.